Hi guys, welcome back to Nix Reads. I have 75 unread books on my bookshelf and I want to get my physical TBR down to 0. And with that, I am so excited to kick off this TBR 0 video series. This is going to be episode 1. This is not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a marathon, not a sprint, because I don't want to start hating the books that I have to read. So I'm going to do this in a series of reading vlogs, which every reading vlog is going to have one fun prompt that will help me to build my TBR. If you have any ideas for cool prompts, then leave them in the comments down below. I would be happy to incorporate it in one of these videos. For this first episode, we're going to use my TBR jar to build my TBR. This is so exciting. Let's pull one blue, which stands for sci-fi and fantasy, one green, which is like thriller, suspense, mystery, and one pink, which is anything else besides yellow. Yellow is nonfiction. All right. Okay, so we're reading Factory Girls. This is Factory Girls by Michelle Gallen. I bought this when I was in Ireland. It's by an Irish author. I don't think I would have read this anytime soon, so yay for the jar. And now let's pick something blue. Okay. All right. So this is The Wonderful Adventures of Nils Holgersson. Selma Lagerlöf won the Nobel Prize for Literature. She's one of the few women who did, and I've been making progress in that list, so it's great that I'm reading yet another one. For a second I was confused why this was blue, but yes, this falls into the category of fantasy. And now let's pick a green one. Okay. A Most Puzzling Murder. Ooh, okay. A Most Puzzling Murder by Bianca Marais, or Marais. This is an uncorrected proof that I got at a book event not too long ago. It was for free in my goodie bag. Never heard of this author or this book before, but it was a gift, so let's see. I hope this is really good. This is my TBR for episode number 1. I'm flying back home to see my parents in Germany, so these are going into my suitcase. Happy Sunday. It is the end of the week and I am over halfway through Factory Girls. I'm really liking it so far. I have not watched Dairy Girls, but judging from some of the reviews I've spotted on Goodreads, if you like that show, this is a book that apparently kind of suits that tone. This book is set in 1994 in Northern Ireland, not in Ireland as I first thought. And our main character is Maeve Murray. Maeve is a high school student waiting for her final grades to come in. She's really hoping to go study journalism in London, and she's basically using the summer to get a job at this garment factory. On the back it says she's smart-mouthed and filthy-minded, and that's how I would describe her. This isn't third-person narration, but the tone is still very much exactly what I imagined Northern Ireland in the 90s to sound like. They use a lot of slang in this book. A lot of the words are even spelled how an Irish person pronounces them while talking, so that really teleports you to a completely different country. So Maeve secured a job in that factory with two of her best friends, and it's really fun because they also found a flat right in front of it, so she's also just moved out of home. But at the same time, it gets a bit serious because she's kind of in the middle of this tension that they have in society between the Protestants and the Catholics. I didn't know a lot about this conflict in Northern Ireland or Ireland, or even the history between the British Empire and Ireland. So there's a few things that I definitely actually looked up as I started reading this book just to get the full picture of it. There's bombings, there's killings, there's shootings. In the midst of this chaos and violence, you have these girls who are just trying to live their lives and trying to get out of the small town that they're from. Maeve has this kind of weird infatuation or slight obsession about this older man who is like the foreman or the boss of the factory. His name's Andy. He's not a kind man. He will sometimes go down to the floor and basically harass female workers, and then in turn sometimes give them more money on their paycheck. It's so fishy, so bad, but at the same time, I guess she's just this teenage girl who sees this guy in a power position and she's kind of like fantasizing about him, and I hope nothing comes out of it. But yeah, I still have half the book left, so we'll see. We're having some family over for dinner, so I'm gonna go now and bake an apple cake and you guys can come with me. finished Factory Girls. I'm giving it 4 stars. The word that describes my experience with this the best is enriching. The historical context really takes the front and center of this book. One of the writing devices that the author uses are flashbacks. So Maeve will be talking to friends and then she will remember something from the past that kind of explains the history a bit, and a lot of the times it's a violent occurrence. So it could be a shooting or a bomb that got set off during like a school play. So we're confronted with this violent reality and this hopelessness that a lot of the characters feel, but at the same time it's this hope and outlook to the future that Maeve has, which carries us through the book and which really makes us root for her to get out and get into the university she dreams of. Upon finishing this, I'm still not sure that we really needed that Andy storyline because everything else was just much more interesting and character building. In the end, Maeve goes through a pretty significant character growth. The verdict is that this under 300-page YA novel really packs a punch. She's definitely a bit foul-mouthed, which makes it fun to read. But you learn so much, and I think for anybody who's interested in some kind of reading around the world project, if you're interested in picking something up from a corner of the world where maybe you don't know anything about history, I think this is a fantastic pick and I would definitely recommend this. This is a success. I wish that I had read this earlier. While we're here, why don't I give you a very quick little bookshelf tour of my sister's bookshelf. She doesn't live here anymore. Well, none of us sisters do, but these are the books that she left behind before she moved. And I've spied some very interesting titles, so let's take a look. Let's start with this first shelf. There's some decoration here. So we have, oh, okay, so Circe, this one here by Madeline Miller. We buddy read this together, which was super fun. Oh, she read They Both Die at the End. These figurines. They both die at the end. I remember somebody in the comment telling me that this is really, really good. Then down here, we also have some German books here. Oh, Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I think my boyfriend gave her this for Christmas. Oh, Jenny Han. I think she read all of the Jenny Han books. I only watched the shows. Didn't read anything. One of Us Is Lying. She said that the books are good. I only watched the show and the show was terrible. How beautiful and colorful is this shelf? Oh, The Hate You Give. I still haven't read this. I really, really love this, and I actually want to read another book by Maggie Knox. And this is my favorite Fear Street. I really wanted her to read it, so I just surprised her and ordered like a used copy. I think it was like €1 or something like that. And she read it in like a day. Oh, and this is very much part of my 75 books that I need to read. So In the Woods, Tana French. I had bought this used a few years ago. I just never had the room in the suitcase to bring it home. Oh, and this one too. This is the third Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. Also part of the 75. Before I forget, this is the next book that I'm going to read for this vlog. It's Nils Holgersson's Most Beautiful Adventures with the Wild Geese. And this is a copy I found in a little free library. I since then checked, and the full edition is something like 600 or 700 pages, so this is definitely like an abridged version, but nevertheless, this is what I'm going to read because this is what I have on hand. This is a children's book, and apparently the author wrote this to write about the country of Sweden, to show us different places. I'm gonna take this with me because I'm gonna go on a weekend away with my family. We're going to Hamburg, which is in the very north of Germany. It's closer to the border to Denmark, and this little book is coming with me on the train. Here you can see our first lunch stop on day one. We had some nice fish and chips. Hamburg is located in the north by the sea, so you definitely get some nice fresh fish and seafood here. We ate a lot. And then we walked around and looked at the Speicherstadt, which is the industrial red brick part of the city, which is very pretty. And in this club, it's actually not raining, even though it's been raining constantly during that weekend. I got a very bad cold. And Hamburg is smaller than I thought it would be, much smaller than Munich, for example, but my parents loved it. It is such a cute city.
had some baked goods, of course. The Franzbrötchen that you see there, it's the flat, squished looking cinnamon roll, is very known in Hamburg, so we tried it. And of course, a Mettbrötchen, which is basically raw meat and onions on bread. So kind of like tartare.
It is our first full day here in Hamburg, and we just had breakfast, had some coffee and some pastries, and now we're just walking around. And this evening we're doing something super special. I surprised my parents with musical tickets for The Lion King. My family hasn't seen it yet. I've seen it in New York, and I'm just so excited for them because the costumes and the songs are so spectacular, and I'm sure that they're gonna love it. So yeah, and until then we're just gonna walk around and eat some very good fish because we're right by the sea here. We're doing an impromptu 1 hour Alsterrundfahrt, so we're on a little boat right now, and it's gonna take us on a little tour. Okay, we're on the ferry, and this is where we're gonna watch the musical. Yay! Ferry. Hello, we are back from Hamburg, and after Hamburg I visited my sister in Münster, which is the restaurant club that you just saw. Now I'm back in my parents' hometown, and I'm about halfway through Nils Holgersson, and I want to show you the cutest bookmark ever. Look at it! It's a Polaroid of the dog that my sister and her boyfriend were taking care of. This book has positively surprised me so far. It's for sure a more slow read because there's so many things happening. So Niels is this young boy who lives on his parents' farm, and he doesn't seem to be very nice. It seems like he's always playing tricks on the animals, like pulling the cat's tail and making his mom trip when she wants to milk the cows. Was heißt Wichtelmännchen auf Englisch? So when he gets turned by a gnome in his house into a gnome-sized person himself, it looks like none of the animals that he suddenly can understand want to help him. They kind of just are like, well, that's on you, you kind of deserve it. The author does such a good job in conveying the animals' feelings and characteristics because the animals are kind of sassy, like they all have their own thoughts and feelings. He ends up teaming up with a flock of geese, and this is how he travels throughout Sweden, and it's how we as readers get to see so many different towns. There's a lot of beautiful nature writing in here and a lot of interesting passages about Swedish traditions, and I find that Niels actually has a lot of retrospect, really reflects about how he used to behave and that he wants to be better and how he feels about traveling with the geese, and if he even wants to go home, and he's wondering if he's ever going to turn into a normal-sized boy again. That's for my second TBR jar book. Then I went ahead and bought a book. This is Glenkill by Leonie Swan. It's the only book that I'm buying on this trip, and this is a great segment into the 3 rules that I put in place for myself during this project of reading all 75 books that I already have. Rule number 1 is that I can read other books too. I'm still allowed to read from my library, especially because I'm not sure how diverse these 75 books are, and I still want to read translated books, books from BIPOC authors. Rule number 2 is that I can buy a book, but I have to read it right away, so the same day. So for example, this one, I picked it up and I got to reading immediately the same day. A new book is not allowed to touch the TBR jar or my bookshelf. I have to read it that instant, so I don't add to the pile of books. And rule number 3 is I will also read books from the 75 outside of reading vlogs. Like for example, right now I'm actually picking a book up by Agatha Christie that I'm buddy reading with my boyfriend. It's not technically part of this vlog, but it's gonna be something that I can remove off the list. In fact, I'm flying home tomorrow, so this is what I'm gonna focus on during my journey, as well as this, and I'll probably talk to you again back in Canada. I'm back home in Canada on my couch with my Henry VIII kitten pillow. Let's take a reading break together here with my loose pile of yarn. This is for a sweater that I started 2 years ago. Can you kind of picture it now? Like this? I did most of this 2 years ago in just a span of maybe 2-3 weeks, And then I barely picked it up last year, and now I want to finally finish it. I stopped working on it because I got tendinitis on my right wrist and forearm, which really scared me at the time. I thought I was getting carpal tunnel syndrome, but it wasn't. So I'm actually going to book an appointment with my physio to see what I can do to prevent injuries while crocheting. Anyways, if you're someone who crochets, let me know if you have any tips for either posture or tools. I don't think I'll finish the sweater in this vlog, but I'll show you in the next ones when it's done. And right now I just put on Groundhog Day on Crave because I've never watched it. We have migrated to Twilight instead because it's that season of the year. I have finished The Wonderful Adventures of Nils Holgersson, and I'm giving this a rating of 4 out of 5 stars. I didn't expect to get so much out of this book because usually when I read middle school books, it's never really something that hooks me because I'm just not the target audience anymore. I can appreciate the story for what it is, but it's usually nothing that thoroughly impresses me, whereas this did. The author wrote this book upon the request of the Swedish school board because they wanted to put a piece of literature in kids' hands in the Swedish classrooms for them to learn something about their home geography, a bit about history. I want to reiterate how interesting and very distinct the animal voices are in this book. They have real personalities. They are fully fleshed characters. There's political backstories to some of these animals. Nils often has to reason with them, bargain with them. Sometimes the animals are nice and kind. Sometimes they're extremely cruel and want to kill him. So he finds himself in situations where he is in captivity, and sometimes he just gets by the goodness of the animals' hearts. Sometimes he outwits them. Nils faces death a lot. Death is something in general that gets mentioned over and over again in this book, even in the shorter version. So sometimes it's death by accident. There's even this one chapter where a 13-year-old girl finds herself sitting next to her dead brother's corpse. Literally, that's in one of the chapters because their entire family essentially perishes from tuberculosis, which is another aspect that I guess kids learn about. We also get taught something about iron and ore mining, generally industrialization, and we even travel all the way up to Lapland and spend some time with the indigenous people of Lapland, which are the Sami, from the region of the Sapmi. This book covers a lot, and it is not always Nils who is in the center of the paragraph. We also kind of diverge from him and follow other animals and other characters around and learn something about their upbringing. Besides teaching kids something about Sweden, this obviously also is kind of a fable where there's a big emphasis on kindness. You want to be nice to the animals and the people in your life and show them mercy and help out your neighbor and strangers. All in all, success, sometimes a bit dense, that's why 4 stars and not the full 5. But honestly, I would still read this to kids these days, even the death chapters. I wanted to show you crochet progress. I am now on my second skein of wool, and this is how the second panel is looking like so far. So this thing here is basically going to be the neck part, the turtleneck part. So we have one shoulder down, we have the rest to go, and then I just have to connect everything. I have since then also seen my physio, and he did say that putting a pillow under your arm and keeping your wrist as straight as possible really does help, as well as raising it higher to eye level. So usually I work kind of like down here, I slouch, and then like I'm crocheting down here. You're supposed to hold it a bit higher up. And also I'm supposed to take some breaks now and again and just like look up like that. So take this with a grain of salt. I am not your physio. This is just what he told me. If you want to see how the sweater looks like done, you should probably subscribe, because in my next vlog, it's hopefully gonna be done. We're in my kitchen. I already started A Most Puzzling Murder by Bianca Marais. I am 5 chapters in, they're very short, and so far the writing has been pretty easy to follow. So our main character is a 21-year-old woman named Destiny Whip. She just recently went through a tragedy that we don't know a lot about yet, and she's also now an orphan. And she never really learned who her biological parents or her extended family are, until one fateful day she finds a letter in her mailbox. This unknown family that is apparently very wealthy and has a rich family history is looking for a new family historian. And she never applied to be their historian, but somehow they sent her a letter telling her that she is one of 2 candidates who are making it to the final round. Apparently, This is very interactive because not only are there riddles that you can solve alongside the main character. There was already one. There's apparently some parts where you kind of pick your own adventure. I'm not sure if we're still gonna all get to the same ending. I would think so. Depending on what you choose. I was reading this super early in the morning and I stumbled upon the first riddle. So it was basically this letter that Destiny got in the mail, and you're supposed to figure out the hidden message in it. I'm gonna be honest with you, in that moment I just went and looked at the answer. It was so early. I didn't think that there's gonna be a riddle right away, and in the foreword it does tell you that you also can just skip the riddles and look at the answers. You are allowed. I promise that I will try to solve the next riddles. And interestingly, there's also an email that you can write to if you need a clue, which I actually did try for this first one, and it basically gave you the key in the email on how to solve this, which is pretty cool. But now we're in my kitchen because I'm gonna make a cozy dinner. I'm gonna make a whole roasted chicken with some chicken dripping, very crispy croutons that I'm gonna toss in a salad, and some nice roasted crispy potatoes. I love cozy cooking content and videos, so I'm bringing you along.
I decided to roast a nice butternut squash as well because they're in season, and the potatoes I just boiled first and then I fluffed them up. They got a little too soft, but it's okay, they still crisped up in the oven with some garlic. And here I'm just cutting up a nice sweet leek, and this is the best part. I'm tearing up some nice crusty bread, and the chicken's gonna go on top of this, and the chicken juices will transform these into the most delicious crispy croutons. And I'm making a compound butter here with just the herbs that I had in the fridge, some anchovy, some lemon, butter, and then this all gets stuffed into the chicken or under the chicken skin. And while that is roasting in the oven, I'm just putting together the salad. So I'm using an apple because my boyfriend went apple picking while I was away, and we had a bunch of them in the fridge. Some onion, I added some feta as well, a nice vinaigrette, and this is the best part. These are the super crispy croutons that I pulled out of the oven.
These are the croutons from the chicken. Very crispy. This is my finished plate. We have some of the chicken, the salad where I tossed some of the croutons in, and the baked potatoes and squash. Hello, I am wearing my Twilight t-shirt today because I just finished watching all 4 Twilight movies and I made progress with my crocheting, which I'll show you in a second. But first, let me update you on A Most Puzzling Murder. I am 3/4 of the way through. I have been sick, which is not great, but it's been great for my reading because I've finally been able to read more than just a few minutes. Let's start with the positives. I'm having a lot of fun with this book. There's a very frequent POV switch from chapter to chapter, and the chapters are a very digestible size, and that makes the reading experience so much quicker and more exciting. The Scruffmore family also has a lot of secrets, so seeing these unfold and realizing what finally the connection is between Destiny, the family, and then also this young woman named Tempest who just appears out of nowhere, who seemed to also apply for the same historian job as she did, but obviously she has secrets as well. To finally see how it comes together is so interesting because I don't think I would have guessed it. As for the choose your own conundrums in this book, where you get a short chapter and then you choose either option A or B, at first I was very worried because I was like, uh-oh, is this like Goosebumps, the ones that I read when I was in middle school, where it completely changes the outcome of the story and the chapters depending on what you read? The completionist in me could never. That would have ruined my reading experience. I don't think this is a spoiler, but if you don't even like mild spoilers, I'll put an emoji here. If you see it disappear, you can unmute me again. Whether you choose option A or B, anyways, you land back at the same chapter. So you might get different information for one short chapter, but then you just jump back to the main story. And as for the riddles, which remind me of being in an escape room, some of them are harder than others. I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of the times I will go and solve them, but if I'm in bed at 12:30 a.m. I'm about to sleep and then there's a riddle, I just skip to the end where I see the solution, just because I don't feel like they really contribute that much to the story, if I'm being honest. I think they're a fun addition, don't get me wrong. I think it's cool that the author added this. It's such a great twist to like a locked room mystery story, which leads me to the other negatives in this book. So Destiny is described as this extremely intelligent woman, got into college at a super early age and is a doctor and everything, but her intelligence doesn't really shine through in this book. You're telling me that somebody with me with like moderate normal intelligence can solve these, but then there's supposed to be an attestation of how smart Destiny is. Like, that just doesn't work. The tone of the story is a little confusing. The vibe is just a little all over the place. So are the very convoluted plot lines. There's a lot of family secrets that get out, which that part I don't mind. I'm having fun with it. I'm just getting a little bit of whiplash going from sentient cute animals to just terrible gruesome things that happen on this island. It feels like I just said a lot of negative things, but I do have fun picking this book up and reading through the chapters. I finished the book. I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars. The big plotline in this book, next to Destiny trying to find answers about herself and her past, is that she is certain that one of the Scruffmore family members is going to die and she has to prevent it. The ending came together pretty beautifully in a way that all of the questions were answers. There were definitely a few more twists and turns, a lot more family secrets revealed, and we finally figure out how Destiny is connected to the Scruffmore family. I do stand by the critique points that I mentioned earlier though, because I think that especially the last few chapters kind of accelerated what I thought before. I, for example, thought that Destiny is a little inconsistent with the way that she interacts with people according to how her background is. The dialogues are kind of rocky sometimes. This book consists of great plot lines. It has interesting riddles in here. The choose your own conundrum chapters are pretty cool, but it's like everything is one puzzle piece, a great puzzle piece, a great idea, but they just don't fit together smoothly. Like, the picture is not coming together. It feels as if this book needed some heavy editing. That being said, I still had a lot of fun picking this up. I didn't feel like DNFing it at any point in the book. So that is a sign that there is something good in here and the writing isn't bad. It's just that it's, like the character and the story, a little inconsistent. It's the end of the vlog. I started this project with 75 unread books. We have read 3 books together in this vlog. I have 2 4-star books and 1 3-star. I think this was pretty successful. So at the end of episode 1 of this series, we're down to 72 unread books, and I'm already excited to tackle the rest of them. If you want to follow along on this journey, please subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up so I know that you enjoy these types of reading vlogs. Don't forget to let me know in the comments if you have ideas for future prompts, and if you just want to let me know that you're still watching, why don't you leave me a pumpkin emoji. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.